Alright, Mo. Let me get some type of reading going. Alright, so welcome back. Another full moon. Full moon in Scorpio in the vault. Right. Salutations to Lord Ganesha, who has a curved trunk, who has a large luminous body, and whose splendor is similar to a million suns. O Lord, please make my undertakings free of obstacles by extending your blessings in all my work always. Right. So in Star Wars, looking at the full moon in Scorpio, let me look and make sure. Yeah, you see how Scorpio, it's only a little bit of Scorpio sits above the ecliptic. Everything that's here might not acknowledge. So full moon in Scorpio is disposited by Mars and Leo. Mars is Moon Lord, Sparta. Alright, so full moon in Scorpio. The full moon is an externalization of the themes at play during the new moon. Our new moon was in Taurus. So that's the intention to stabilize through stabilize through security, material abundance, sensual abundance, pragmatism, and themes like self-esteem. So Scorpio's underworld light reveals hidden emotions, subconscious patterns, and deep fears. Ruled by Mars, it pushes us to face what lies beneath our motivations, habits, impulses, and ambition. It's also co-lorded by K2, who represents detachment, letting go. K2 is like a surgeon that cuts things, right? So the core question for this full moon is asking, are your intentions for security and stability and comfort built on authentic, healthy roots? This full moon will expose any attachments, emotional blocks that demand transformation before you can fully enjoy the gifts that Taurus has to offer. The gifts of material and sensual abundance, beauty, self-esteem, emotional stability, and security. Right? So the dispositor Mars is in Leo with K2. Mars in Leo urges bold, creative self-expression and courageous claim to a personal power. K2 brings detachment, dissolving ego-driven ambitions and prompting reflection on the karmic roots of your actions. Right? Together, they challenge you to balance dramatic action with conscious release, merging the pursuit of comfort with New Moon and Taurus with the willingness to dive into emotional depths and transcend old patterns with this full moon in Scorpio. I'm a little slow. It's kind of late. I ain't gonna cap. So 5 questions to ask. This from Yasmin Bolin. 1. Have I been jealous, vengeful, suspicious, or otherwise behaved toxically? 2. Have I been living out of fear rather than joy? 3. Have I been brooding and dark, focusing on the negative rather than the positive? 4. Have I been cruel or cunning? And then 5. Am I having the sex I need to feel good about myself? Of course, some people don't need to have sex at all. Right? Scroll. So this next part is the star Jyeshta in the basal ganglia. I don't know, randomly came across this correlation. Maybe. So Jyeshta Nikshatra translates to the eldest or the chief. It fuses the intellect of Mercury, who is Star Lord, with the willpower that Mars gives as Sign Lord, and K2's unpredictability, mysticism as Co-Lord. The star that marks this lunar mansion is the star Antares, the heart of the Scorpion, the foremost and most eminent of the stars in Scorpio, a red giant. Red giants are thought to be much older stars due to their size and magnitude, right? And often colors. Right? So they've been around. They are most eminent, chief, elders, right? So Jyeshta is ruled by Indra. He teaches us, well, Indra is ruler of Svarga, king of heaven, and controller of the senses. So he teaches us self-mastery through his control of the Indriyas. The name Indra kind of is associated with the Indriyas, which is the physical body, the sense organs, what we use. As king of heaven, he is also king of the gods in heaven. He's chief of the gods, foremost of the gods. Gods represent the attributes of the supreme. You know what I'm saying? You can't quite name the supreme, but you can get an idea of the essence of it. Putting a name to it is a bit futile. You take away from its effulgence, glory, right? So, as king of heaven, he worries about his station. He wants to stay in charge. You dig what I'm saying? So he often has to fight demons or asuras. Demons represent inner blockages within us, right? Energetic blockages inside of us. And then vrittis, he also gives the power to defeat vrittis or vrittas. Vrittis are like whirlpools. It's like we have certain hypnotic rhythms, right? I got that from this. Hypnotic rhythm is, they say it might be the first 7 years of your life. It'll put you in a certain rhythm, and next thing you know, you kind of get pulled into certain so vrittis are just self-sabotaging powers or self-sabotaging habits. It's a whirlpool in your mind. You're sailing on the waters, going with the flow and the currents, or maybe just trying to find another path in the subconscious waters. And next thing you know, you kind of get pulled and start drifting into a whirlpool, and you sink. Now you might be experiencing some sort of depression or manic episode, whatever it may be. So Indra gives the power to overcome those, right? Its Shakti is the Arohana Shakti. It gives ascension power. It gives the power to lift the mind above subconscious currents, inspiring the resolve needed to break old habits. And then this Shakti helps one to rise to higher states, higher states of being. You feel me? Experience things, because Indra is always first to drink of the Soma. Soma is enjoyment, and it's an elixir of immortality. So it's about knowledge itself. You can partake in that. That it's just enjoyment, though. Before that, it's just enjoyment, right? Having good habits and being able to enjoy the fruits of those good habits, right? So basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is a bunch of, they say subcortical, but it's like gray matter structures that's nestled deep within the brain. The brain and the mind, it's in heaven. We just kind of associate that with heaven. So they play a crucial role in habit formation and the processing, like how rewards are processed through dopamine. They got a thing called VTA, which do I still got it up? Ventral tegmental area. And I guess the abbreviation that the neurosurgeons were saying was very, very right. So it's like from this area all the way at the bottom of the ganglia. There's a sensor that's inside all the dopamine. So we got dopamine goes to the frontal lobe. They got dopamine goes like the ganglia parts and then other parts, right? So it's the basal ganglia is best known for coordinating motor movements. But it's also associated with, so motor movements is just like moving your hands, facial reason, and making sure that like you reach or something is smooth. Issues with the basal ganglia would look like it's like Parkinson's or MSA, things like that, where it's like you reaching for something, but it's not smooth, and maybe your hands shake or things like that, right? So also associated with procedural learning and cognitive emotional regulation. So it's kind of the command center. It would be Svarga. Sva is one's own. Svatagata is one's own paradise. So your mind, with good habits, and if you take care of it and you conscious of certain efforts that you make, and those good efforts, right? The conscious efforts that you take to ingrain certain things creates a more smooth and easy environment. Then it's these things kind of be easy. So what does Indra like to do? He like to indulge. That's his main thing. He gets in trouble for wanting to indulge all the time. What is he indulging of? Of the soma of good habits, ideally of good habits, right? So it's just to orchestrate smooth and coordinated behavior. So that main was that the basal ganglia functions as a gateway between conscious and subconscious actions. They help to transform deliberate behaviors into automated routines that, like on autopilot. This transition not only enhances our efficiency, but also enables us to reserve our conscious resources for novel challenges. Yeah, so Indra does like to indulge. And yeah, I'm gonna drink of this soma because it's on autopilot. I think good thoughts, I get good results. But then if something does come up, a challenge comes up, Indra, Jyeshta gives us the power to rise above perils, conquer in battle. So it's like, okay, now when you get, if you calm, that's another thing too. When you dealing with issues and stuff and stresses and struggles in life, if you can't find a moment to be at peace, Soma, the moon represent being at peace, peace of mind. If you can't find a moment to be mindful, have some faith, concentrate, and tap in with wisdom, which are other spiritual indriyas, spiritual organs that we have, then you won't be able to come out of that problem and rise above that peril. So you gotta just kind of like just always take a moment to breathe, tap into the somatic system, really make a conscious effort of what usually is involuntary actions, and you can usually get through it. I ain't gonna cap. You'll come up with something. So in this framework, Indra, ruler of Svarga and the senses, symbolizes a higher executive authority. So his dominion over the senses parallels the control that the brain exerts over automatic processes. The interplay between Indra's power and the basal ganglia's regulatory role illustrates how higher functions can refine and align our subconscious habits with conscious goals, making deeply embedded networks and routines work in our favor rather than against us. And I was talking to Stretch, and it's like we talk about hypnotic rhythm. This was during the new moon. And it's like when you're trying to kick a bad habit, oftentimes like they will just get rid of whatever means you use. Like the universe kind of. So say you want, say you drink, say you drink a lot, but you want to stop drinking. What is the underlying current? Like what is that? What is that rooted in? So if you drink alone, you might find out that now you lose a job because of your drinking. So now you don't even have the means to get money to fund that habit. Now you ain't got a choice but not to drink. But here's the thing with whirlpools, riches, asuras, inner blockages. The thing with that is you already in a rhythm of drinking at a certain time, or during on a certain day, right up after work, happy hour. Maybe you go to happy hour, maybe you go to brunch, right? You'll get invited. So now you'll have to even look at the root of your associations, because it might be a social thing for you. You dig what I'm saying? If it won't just be, if you don't do it alone and you don't just got no money, you a lush in that sense. But say you just a recreational drinker, but you always get invited out just to drink. You abuse your liver and your kidneys. and your skin. You feel me? You doing that, and now you're addicted, and you gotta hang out when you drink. It's just that's just part of it. Or if you smoke, or I don't know, if you be, I was about to say tricking off, you got a little sex addiction, like whatever it could be. If you shop, you say you ain't got no money for things, but you always find a way through coupons or finding something on sale. Like you just look for something. Like, okay, I got this much, I ain't got nothing, but I'ma still get some. You understand what I'm saying? All of these are habits. And they really are deeply embedded. As human beings, we are subject to nature. We always fighting against nature. You dig what I'm saying? And the only person that's above nature would be someone like Indra. It would have to be an aspect of the supreme God, God's self will have to get us up out of our habits. You understand what I'm saying? Hold on. All right. So yeah, in that frame. So together these images form a powerful allegory. The basal ganglia reflects the formation and execution of deep-seated habits. Scorpio's intensity pushes us to confront and transform these habits, inviting change even in the fixed and familiar. Jyeshta Shakti, the power to lift the mind above the subconscious waters and currents, provides the inner power to transcend subconscious limitations. Indra's regulatory control, right, as being king of Swarga, controller of the Indriyas, he mirrors the brain's capacity to align our sensory inputs and responses with more deliberate, conscious goals. Higher order thinking. And then the new moon in Taurus or in Rohini, Rohini being represented by a cart and Krishna's birth star. Rohini's cart and Krishna's bold act as a baby of kicking that cart. So, what is it? Sakata or Sataka Asura, the demon in the cart, reminds us that we carry legacies of behavior when disrupted, or an intuition disrupts it. It can lead to liberation and rebirth, right? In this chart below, I was talking with the co-pilot. They came up with this jump. So Rohini loads the cart, Jyeshta cracks it open. The basal ganglia, it decides which pieces that you keep. So in this jump, they did in a like system layer approach. You got the seed, the layer is the seed, new moon, and Rohini. The image is an ox cart full of goods and habits. Krishna kicks Sakata Asura. It's already on with what they put. It shows it's already, you gotta be patient with AI. So neural analog, the striatum, which is one of, I think, 4 parts of the basal ganglia. The striatum encodes rewarded routines. From the VTA, it sends out dopamine. So the dopamine tags the loop. It'll be like, nah, keep doing this. This is good. We enjoy this. This is good for us. Right? So 14-day window where you unconsciously double down on comfort-seeking behaviors. Switch yard. Oh, why they say switch yard? These are the loops in the basal ganglia. Indra, Lord of the senses, decides which impressions reach the gods. So he's actually fighting against certain things. Like, oh yeah, nah, what's this habit? Get that out of here. I'm going to war with that. Ooh, it's very challenging. Don't even trip. You're gonna pray. Indra often goes to the supreme. We name Indra, but the supreme is kind of supreme. So, right. So the neural analog, direct pathway versus indirect pathway. The indirect pathway is the no-go. Direct pathway is the go at every action. It's where habits are cued or vetoed. So you gotta notice the moment, like so I smoke. And if I smoke it too much, you ask yourself, well, why am I? You gotta ask yourself, why am I about to do this? At a certain point, it'll become habit. I asked the guy one time. I was playing on Xbox. This was years ago. We must have been playing some little like PUBG. We was playing PUBG, Players Unknown Battlegrounds, and we had to take a break after every match because this nigga had to roll up. And I was asking him, I'm like, is it even about smoking anymore? It has to be the routine. It's like you go to the same gas station, right? Or wherever you smoke shop, you get the same type of backwoods. You probably be squeezing the pack like you know what the fuck you talking about. Like, oh yeah, nah, let me get another one. And then when you get back home, you probably got a rolling tray, a grinder. Now you gonna sit down, you roll up a certain way, don't you? All right, cool. Then you got you lick your blunt. You probably like the backwoods to have a certain shape after you unravel it. Like it's a whole process you gotta go through just to get to smoking. It can't even be about smoking no more. And I was like young as hell asking them that, right? But you gotta notice. So if he wanted to quit or if he wanted to change that habit, he would have to stop it at going to the gas station. He would have to stop it at like if you switch, okay, say you smoke a bunch of backwoods. The moment you tell yourself, I don't want to smoke backwoods, I'm gonna switch to sheets, you'll probably find that you don't even want to smoke no more. A good thing, I ain't gonna bap. I learned this, I don't remember. Probably from an astrologer, they bring you the post. But say you smoke weed and you roll up your own joints, or you smoke cigarettes and you roll up your own cigarettes. Whatever hand that you dominantly roll with, switch it to the non-dominant hand and watch how much you just slowly stop smoking. Especially if you're not ambidextrous, you'll slowly just begin to be like, I'm cool, I'd rather not. You understand what I'm saying? Because the part that makes habits easy for us is that over time, the basal ganglia will loop it. It'll make it automatic. You might not have $1 on you for a drink, but I guarantee you, if you're a social drinker, you could just meet somebody and y'all will go out for drinks. You'll get a drink. It's not about the money. You attract what you are. New moon and Taurus, you really attract what you are. The desire to find a lover and unite with them, you can't look outside yourself. You gotta look inside. You are the lover. Do you love yourself? What do you love? The things that you love, they'll always come back around. That's a part of your material and sensual abundance. You know what I'm saying? So if you are in a mindset of lack, that's what you attract. You will attract lack. You will attract that spirit of I ain't got enough money. But then you always spending money somehow. You always find a sale. Don't be broke, just be frugal. You gotta change it. Right? So the culmination, full moon and Jyeshta. Jyeshta Shakti is the power to rise and conquer, to lift the mind above subconscious waters. Then they say it's a limbic surge, prefrontal spotlight. It floods the same basal ganglia loops with intensity. Right? Emotional spikes. They reveal the exact habit loops ready to be rewritten. So these are the things. So Scorpio is like, if you catch a flashback to something, if something stir you up emotionally and you kind of can't get over it, that probably is pointing to a sign that you might have to overcome that thing. It's the limbic surge. It's shocking your system. The little baby foot of Krishna is kicking a cart and it's shocking your system, right? So Mars, the controller, Mars is ignition, K2 is detachment. They call it a control burn, like a carterization. This is like carterizing, right? In our brains, when we forge new neural pathways, sometimes we have to prune the other ones, and that's just a process. Like it prunes itself after a while. So the dopamine burst, Mars initiates chain, K2 mimics the emergency brake. that severs outdated loops. Yeah, so it prunes. K2 and Mars. Mars is like a surgeon. K2 is like an assassin, and they both fire in their nature. So it cauterizes, it'll burn that loop. So it's like, oh man, I got a habit of, you know, being around frenemies, or I got a habit of being a very avoidant individual. Okay, let me get in the habit of being more, let me just talk. Yeah, I might not be super duper, hey, how are you? And what's going on? And what do you like to do? And what you going on today? But I might be a, hey, what's up? How are you? If I could do that a bit more, then I bet we could burn that loop of not even engaging in a conversation. Right? So you pair decisive action with ritual letting go, rewire by replacing, not by sheer suppression. This is just K2 is the tail end of a serpent. It's always, serpents cling to things, but then they lash out too. So you don't want to repress it, and you don't want to really bother it. They want, a lot of them scaly armor things are actually quite peaceful, but they just can't help themselves, right? This one say purifier because the ascendant is Barani. Barani has the power to carry off impurities with the waters. So it just, they say it's neuroplastic. Because the next star is Critica from Barani, and that has to do with the brain and neuroplasticity. So neuroplastic washout phase, the synapses that are not refired, they end up degrading. This is part of that. So once you cauterize some of those synapses and neural pathways, then we kind of wash it away. We kind of gonna put some water on it, not for it to grow, but just kind of like to ease that pain. So long-term depression. The water is also addictive, so we're washing it away with a brand new routine or habit or something else to bond to. Right? Unused synapses will dissolve after you consciously practice the new behavior for about 40 days. So putting the myth on the microscope slide is the other part of that jump. So the cart, Sakata, is procedural memory. Once again, this is from a conversation with AI, so we have to tweak it and all of that, but it's just helping us piece things together. Rohini's symbol isn't a war chariot, but a slow freight cart. It is not a war chariot. Exactly how habits feel: heavy, useful, and rarely questioned. We don't even think about what's in that truck. Feel me? The basal ganglia, especially the putamen is a part of the basal ganglia, store and pull these roadmaps automatically. Krishna's kick is prediction error signal. Krishna kicking the cart is intuition. So your intuition is that hunch, that small still voice that you might feel. And not coincidentally, it was a 2-day-old Krishna kicking that cart. So it's like, it really is a still small little subtle movement that nudge you. Like, don't do that. You feel me? Oh man, say you one of them individuals that's hot in the ass. You dig what I'm saying? You can't turn nothing down. You feel? Maybe you got a little monglic affliction, right? A little nympho or something like that. Or you just hot in the ass, you press and you be desperate. Your intuition gonna tell you a lot of times, don't do that. Remember the last time, if you ever been burnt, your intuition probably always be dogging you now. If you haven't been burnt, your intuition really be on it and you tapped in. Good for you, right? No cap. It ain't even we ain't poking fun if you did get burnt, but it's just examples and stuff. In neuroscience, an unexpected outcome sends a spike of dopamine that edits the loop. Krishna's playful smash mirrors that jolt. It shocks you out of autopilot and wakes up the striatum. And the striatum is about dopamine. So it's like a dopamine bridge. And I think the striatum is closer to the prefrontal cortex. So it's now trying to make a habit conscious when the striatum is engaged. Indra drinks soma first. They call it sensory gator. Indra's privilege echoes the basal ganglia's job of letting only selected currents drink the nectar of conscious execution. They call him a divine dormant. So Indra drinking the soma is, yes, it's like, okay, Soma is the somatic part. You kind of making it conscious. You using your mind to breathe deeper. You using your mind to have faith, be mindful, concentrate on things. You dig what I'm saying? Those are spiritual indriyas. In addition to, you may have to use your mind to close out and maybe withdraw from what you see, what you hear, what you feel. You understand what I'm saying? And then when you doing that process and churning that waters and churning the milk of your mind and the soma, Indra, he comes down with Vayu, which is the spirit of the supreme, right? Vayu is wind. Wind is breath. That's the spirit of God. So he come down riding with Vayu on the spirit of God, and he want to drink of the soma. He's like, man, I'm pleased. You dig what I'm saying? Oh, what is this habit? This habit has resulted in something. Like, you feel me? It's resulted in enjoyment. I can enjoy these habits. So Jyeshta's rise and conquer is the cortical override. At full moon, the limbic prefrontal cortex lights up. Oh, they using the myth involved, right? So it pushes submerged patterns into awareness. Scorpio's fixed water forces you to confront what is normally automatic. Mars and K2 is the pruning protocol. We're talking about pruning. Mars supplies the drive to act out a new script. K2 slices attachment to the old one. In brain terms, it strengthens the direct pathway for the fresh habit, engage the hyperdirect pathway to silence the obsolete track. So, what's that? What could I say? A person that might find themselves emotionally dysregulated. It might come from not moving. A lot of times, depression, rage, anger, it stems from not moving your body, not moving the energy around, or just repressed anger. You just gotta, you have to do something with that. It's energy, it's willpower. You might have felt a little block or something like that. You gotta get it moving. Anytime you feel like that, maybe it's time to go for a walk. Maybe it's time to do like a little, 8-minute ab or something like that. I'm not going to go over that one. So why this works. The basal ganglia does not argue in words. It goes through repetition and reward. So what did they say? The way to train the subconscious mind is through patterns, repetition, things like mantras, prayers, and trauma. But we going to go through trauma in life. So a lot of the work is deconditioning from the trauma, and you're going to have to decondition through repetition, rewards, a reward system and stuff like that. The myth supplies the emotional voltage that that was extra. Scorpio provides the intensity to drive a change home. By timing the intervention with full moon, oh, that's something else. But you can kind of like ride the wave and get where you gotta go instead of just being pulled and pushed around. So the tarot for this deacon of Scorpio, right? Hold on. It's the third deacon, yeah. So 7 of Cups. I had to just make sure. 7 of Cups. It's like you got 7 cups. It's all smoke and mirrors. We was talking about glamour, clout, cap. You feel like you got all these options, but it's all on cloud. So it's just this is airy. So it's all in your mind. And then there's no in every other and many of the other cards, you got some type of land or a boat or something to put some type of feet on. In this one, it's just a shadowy figure. We don't even see we know he got fingers, but it's nothing on his face. And then there's no type of land. So you're ungrounded. Be careful. Ungrounded. It's a skull in this one. You feel me? A snake will bite you. A ghost will scare you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's all these choices. And they say it combines the death of Scorpio, the death card is Scorpio, and then the Empress, which is Venus. Seven of Cups is Venus and Scorpio, called debauchery. Venus and Scorpio is not strong. It's 7 signs away from home, so it kind of dies. What happens in Scorpio? Any planet in Scorpio will undergo a transformation. It's unavoidable. You cannot get you can't get away. You have to surrender to the change in Scorpio. Planets in Scorpio have to surrender to the change. So this is like when, ooh, it's not Tiamat. I don't know if it's Inanna. I believe it's Ishtar. She has to make a descent through the many different gates in hell or Hades in the underworld. She gotta go through that jump. She has to strip herself of all of those material things and the crown and all of these things to get the sun back, which is like representative of happiness and the soul and that that knowledge of oneself. It's like the knowledge of oneself don't require you to wear this and put on that and come across this way. It requires you to come as you really are. You dig what I'm saying? So soul searching, self-examination, finding one's place. Right. The Sabian symbol, Indians making camp, is about adaptability, learning how to respond to changing environmental conditions within which we live, trusting that we can find whatever we need wherever we go. Wherever you go, there you are. Whatever you're looking for, that thing that you're looking for is the thing that is looking. You know what I'm saying? You attract what you are. Your thoughts, whatever your thoughts are, is whatever your results are. So try though as we may, we cannot tame nature, nor ever will, and eventually we succumb to his ways and his powers. Yet we can learn through this by observing and tuning into nature how to adapt comfortably to all situations. We can guard against the worst of it by wearing clothes and building shelter, but in the end, we surrender. And this ability, being adaptable, is like gold, since it allows us the freedom to flow without anxiety. It's always gonna be some change, man. You feel me? You want to wear clothes. We were just talking about Ishtar's descent through hell. You know, got on these clothes and the adornments and all the things that you would consider to be clear signs of a queen, right? With all y'all titles and y'all names and this is that and your clout and all your cap. You take that off and you keep removing all these garments. What really are you? You think what I'm saying? Are you a soul? Do you have a soul? Likely you do. You gotta adapt. That junk gonna be there. You really gotta adapt to Nate. Like, I don't know. If you tap in with your soul, you'll be able to adapt to nature. The only thing above nature is the soul and the supreme, my nigga. You dig what I'm saying? That spark and the supreme that we get the spark from. They want to show how to adapt. You feel me? Because we view things as seasons is really a whole thing. Spring, summer, winter, fall is a whole thing. We separate it into spring, summer, winter, fall. It's a whole thing. The soul can see it that way, but in our minds, in our conditioning, we don't see it that way. The liberated soul sees it that way. It's a one big thing. You feel me? But for what it's worth in life, we do have to adapt. But in the end, we surrender. All right. Good night. Damn, that's a lot.